should I have
Welcome to Media Path. I'm Fritz Coleman.
And I am Louise Palanker.
With 1 week until the election, we at Media Path are proud to remind you that we are conspiracy-free media. You can trust our information. And you can trust that our guests have been thoroughly vetted, like today's guest, my good friend, Don McMillan, an amazing comedian who just had a successful series of weeks on America's Got Talent. We're looking forward to talking to Don about what that experience was like and how it changed his life. And I know it did because he's filling venues all over America. Don's going to be with us in just a few minutes. Wheezy, what do you have for us this week?
Okay, so I've been reading. Have you tried that, Fritz?
I'm an avid reader.
Okay, excellent. So this was a book I read. Actually, I read a book. It's called Ordinary Grace by William Kent Kruger. Ordinary Grace is a New York Times bestseller from William Kent Kruger about a particularly chilling and illuminating 1961 small-town summer for 13-year-old Frank Drum. I offer you a quote. You'll find this quote on the Amazon page. I'm lifting this quote just so that it's credited properly. That was it. That was all of it. A grace so ordinary, there was no reason at all to remember it. Yet, I have never, across the 40 years since it was spoken, forgotten a single word.
What a great line.
It is.
Wow.
There's tons of gems like that throughout the book, just so this gentle wisdom throughout the book. The Drums are Frank, his awkward and brilliant little brother Jake, his musically gifted sister Ariel, his passionately artistic mother, and his Methodist minister father. Their collective mission is ministering to the needs of others, but when tragedy strikes at home, the family fabric is stretched and tested, revealing secrets, twists, adultery, betrayal, and a deep wisdom painfully pulled to the surface in young Frank. Told from Frank's perspective, 40 years beyond that impactful summer, Ordinary Grace is a brilliantly moving account of a boy standing at the doorway of adult understanding and trying desperately to fix and make sense of a world that is falling apart around him. This book poses the question, when a child becomes aware of the world's complexities, contradictions, hypocrisies, and atrocities, how does he process these enormous concepts, and how can the adults in his world best ease his understanding and compassion? Ordinary Grace is by William Kent Kruger.
Wow, it sounds fascinating.
Yeah, it's a great book.
All right, I'm going to talk about Vengeance. This is the new B.J. Novak movie, his directorial debut. It's streaming on Prime Video and Peacock right now. Novak is a writer and director and actor and a comic. Matter of fact, he acted, directed, and wrote on The Office for many years. His character was Ryan. He's got a really interesting comic voice that shows up in this film. He calls it an American Western neo-noir mystery black comedy. He's the lead. He plays a journalist and a podcaster who travels from New York to Texas to investigate the death of a woman who he previously had hooked up with. It also stars Issa Rae and Ashton Kutcher. The movie begins with whip-smart comic repartee between his character and a great cameo with guitar legend John Mayer. Then it morphs into a culture clash between New York and Texas, sort of a social satire getting into our current cultural and political divides, and it ends up as a mystery thriller. It's fun and smart, and it's got some interesting plot twists. I really loved it. I think he's going to be a great filmmaker in the future.
Yes, I believe in BJ. In fact, BJ and I are open mic mates. So
yeah, you told me that. That's amazing. I didn't know he was doing stand-up.
And I can call you remember your open mic mates, right, Don? I mean, that's like
always.
a thing. Yeah. You're like, when one of them does really well. I always saw that in you.
Especially when they always do better than you.
Yes,
I never forget those guys.
Yep.
Like, I always called it for BJ. We knew that guy
That's
had
right.
it.
I knew it.
Yep.
All right, let me introduce this guy.
Sure.
Our guest today has been my friend for years. We have done many, many shows together. As a matter of fact, I just opened for him at Levity Live, which is the old Improv in Oxnard. He packed the room and then proceeded to bring the house down around the crowded room. He's one of the smartest, most interesting acts. He's an engineer by trade and uses those skills to convulse the audience with a PowerPoint presentation that ain't like the PowerPoint presentation you were forced to watch about sexual harassment at Human Resources. He's been deemed America's #1 rated corporate comic. There are many wonderful clips on YouTube from his America's Got Talent experiences and his recently recorded Dry Bar special, Treat Yourself, and look him up on YouTube. Don McMillan, we're so glad you're here. How are you, my friend?
Oh, my God. I can't live up to that intro. I have to go away.
Well, something has to be good about
was
the
way
show.
better than...
I know. You just got off the road last night, right? You were coming home when I called you on the phone.
I was in New York City doing a big old corporate gala gig at the Hilton Ballroom in New York.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many dates a year do you do? Honest to God, I don't know anybody that's on the road more than you.
I do about 50 corporate shows a year, and then in between that, I fill in with comedy clubs. So I do 3 or 4 shows a week at least. Can I share with you my favorite joke that nobody's going to know because it was a corporate date?
Oh, yes,
Can I do? I have to share this joke because I thought it was a great joke. I actually did this thing at this gala in New York City for the Wings Club, which is the aviation CEOs, all the bigwigs from Boeing and Airbus and United and Delta, and they inducted this guy, Bill Franke, who was the pioneer of ultra low cost airlines. He started Spirit and America West and Frontier. He's famous for how low cost airlines, right? So big gala. My first joke was, we're here to celebrate Bill Franke at tonight's gala. So your dinner is free, but your fork will be $40 extra.
Excellent joke.
And I couldn't share that with anybody. Like, that's a private event. I let it free on your show. So there you go.
But I would think that your comedy lends itself to specifics, so that wherever you go, you're able to weave in all those specifics that just make people howl.
That's my favorite thing to do. Are you kidding? Ask Fritz. I write something special everywhere I go.
He customizes and uses pictures of executives, and it's really wonderful. And let me, I don't want to mess this story up. I'm going to get you to tell it. But you have a great story about early in your corporate career. You were invited to perform at IBM for 10,000 people, and nobody knew who you were. So they advertised you as the vice president of human resources, who was just going to come out on stage to update people on the state of human resources. And you launched into this PowerPoint. Am I right about that?
Oh, yeah. No, I've done a bunch of times, but that was early on, before anybody knew who I was, because I worked in the corporate world, and I watched enough of these speakers who can just, spin a yarn for 45 minutes with no valuable information. That I got up there and I said, I swear at this one too, Fritz, I could have gone the full 45 minutes because I was just making stuff up about, well, first I worked on, interpersonal skills. So I gave them all the ins and outs of PowerPoint and how too many things on the slide. And people were taking notes. I was telling jokes and they were taking notes.
There is some useful stuff in there. Yeah. I've watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, my one video, Life After Death by PowerPoint, and it was not made for this purpose. It's used in trainings all over America because I basically just take the behaviors of people who give horrible PowerPoint presentations, and I call them out on it. Too many bullet points, too many animations, and it turned out to be a good comedy bit, and apparently humiliates people into making better PowerPoint. So I'm helping the world.
Yeah, no, you absolutely are, because one of my PowerPoint peeves is when there's too much text on the screen, because I, as an ADD person, I cannot read and listen to what you're saying at the same time. Those don't both track. So yes, it should be 1 or 2 words, and then what you say should be. Yeah.
And Louise, there's people like you who actually read the whole slide. It amazes me.
Oh, yeah. If there's writing in front of us, we read. I'll read your T-shirt. I'll read what's on the bumper sticker of the car in front of me. I will read. When I was first learning how to read, I drove my mother crazy by reading every sign we went by. So, yeah, once you teach.
Well, my favorite thing, and this happens at least 2 or 3 times a year, somebody will send me an email after a show and go, during your presentation on slide 54, your numbers do not add up to 100% on your chart. And I'll go and check, and they're right. I'm going, how did you even? I've been doing that slide for 2 years. I never noticed that. How did you notice that in 5 seconds it was on the screen?
Because they paused it.
Your material, both the spoken part of it and the visual part of it, is different. That's why I love it. That's why I like to work with you. You and I are totally different, and we make an interesting show that way.
Oh, I love working with you.
Yeah. You're both really good at holding little clickers and advancing things.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, that's another thing I want to talk about. Unlike a typical monologist who exaggerates reality, you look at something very logically, and then your engineer's brain takes over, and many times a series of Venn diagrams, and you parse a topic like an engineer. It's like you find the humor from another part of your brain than a typical comedian does, and that's what makes it so hysterical, because it's not as predictable as many monologists are. It's really interesting.
No, it comes from the true engineering part of my brain, which most comics don't have, which is true. And if you think about it, what do we love to complain about as humans? Things that don't work correctly.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right.
And what do engineers do? We fix things that don't work correctly. And so if I look at something, I get observation like, why do you have carpool lanes in LA? Nobody wants to be in a carpool lane in LA. And then I think of a better way. How about a cell phone lane? How about a lane where if you're on your cell phone, you have to get in that? I come up with a solution right away because my brain immediately goes to fixing things, which most comics don't. So I think that's what really separates. I was an engineer for 20 years. So I can't help that, and I just tap into it. So
you're a Stanford graduate. You worked in Silicon Valley. You ain't playing around, but you decided to lower yourself and become a professional comedian.
Well, you must have always known that you were smart. Did you also always know that you were funny?
I actually didn't know either. I swear to you, I went to a really good high school, and I thought I was mediocre. I really did. And it wasn't until I got to college that I realized that I actually was pretty smart. And but in high school, because I didn't really stand out, I did manage to make people laugh. So the comedy part of me started in high school, but then once I got to college, I think my brain figured out how to take tests and I somehow figured it out, and I was really good at college. I was like number one in my class in college, which I was not in high school. I wasn't. Who knows why? Who knows why our brain grows the way it does?
Right.
But and then both combined sometime in my late 20s. I hit my head or something, and they mixed in, and I became an engineer comedian. I have no idea how that happened. I really don't.
But you're so brave for another reason, and that is that you're relying on computer technology to work in front of thousands of people. And I've seen it happen. Your computer doesn't do what it's always supposed to do, and it crashes in the middle of the show. And then you just do straight stand-up, and you're wonderful at that. But that's a scary thing when stuff isn't going where it's supposed to, and your computer in the middle of a show.
In fact, during America's Got Talent this year, in the roast of Simon, luckily it was pre-taped. It wasn't live to America. The computer just basically shut off, and you don't see it because they edited it out. And I just went to my last joke, which ended up being a great joke. But I as an engineer, I prepare for that. I go, if something happens, what do I have a go-to? I always have a second and a third plan. It's just the way I am. Ask my wife. I am not fun to live with. Ask my wife.
You pass out mimeograms.
So,
all right, please refer.
I want to talk to you about America's Got Talent.
All right.
Because, first of all, to me, it seems any competitive situation for a comedian seems like a gut-wrenching experience.
Oh.
I think part of the reason why I like comedy is because I'm on stage alone. I'm only responsible for my own thoughts and words. I'm not competing with another person in my cubicle for the best sales numbers of the year. There's nothing competitive about it. You compete with yourself. But to go in an experience like that where you're competing against other acts just seems horrifying. But then I talked to you about it, and you just loved it. Well, first of all, you owned the audience. The audience was fantastic to you. Even when Simon was denigrating you, the audience loved you. So talk about that experience, what it was like.
Yeah, they were chanting at him, put him through, put him through. They were very much on my side. I've always been a good competition comic. I won the San Francisco comedy competition way back in the early stages of my career in '93. And that was just a meat grinder. It's over 3 and 4 weeks at multiple venues and 20 comics.
Lots of talented people in San Francisco, too.
Oh, and just amazing comics. And I think back then I learned, and as you know, too, I'm a golfer, and golfing's very much the same to me. I might be playing an opponent in golf, but what am I really playing is the course. I'm really playing the course. So I don't look at it as I'm trying to beat other comics. I'm trying to take this crowd, this golf course, and do the best I can with this in front of me. And if that happens to be better than somebody else, that's not for me to judge. I just try to focus on how do I take this crowd to a place that they get more laughs than they did before I started. And that's the way I view it. Like if somebody beats me in a competition, and believe me, I've lost. I didn't win America's Got Talent. I never hold it against them. I don't think they're funnier than me or they're better than me. It's just, man, I've done this enough. And there's great crowds. There's good crowds. There's crowd on your side. There's crowds that are on some. You want to do the best you can do in that moment. And that's all I focus on.
So go back to talk about the audition process, the first time you went in there, and how does that work?
Well, they had seen my dry bar. So they were interested in me because I was clean. And
explain what a dry bar is.
Oh, Dry Bar is this online comedy club that's filmed in Utah, and it's called Dry Bar because it's all clean comedy, no alcohol in the building. It's Utah. It's Utah, for God's sake. Mm-hmm. So they look for comics who are family friendly. So they when they found me, they were like, "You're perfect for the show. Come do it," and I did it. And then America's Got Talent, I think, looks there because, again, family friendly. They can find good comics. So when they saw me, they saw my Dry Bar and they said, it's a negotiation with America's Got Talent. I don't think I'm giving away the story here, but they're like, I want to do this joke, and they go, oh, we like that one, and I go, well, how about this one, and I negotiated the set and then put it together, and then I waited. This was the hardest part of America's Got Talent. You wait forever. I waited like 8 weeks. They kept scheduling me and rescheduling me. Okay, we're going to put you on here, put you on there. That is the hardest emotional part of it, because you try to gear yourself up for a live television show or an audition. And then they go, twice they called me. In fact, once I went down to Pasadena where they film it, sat there all day, and they went, oh, we don't have time in the show. Can you come back next Saturday? I'm like, oh my God. I lost like 15 pounds through this ordeal.
Yeah.
And so then I do the audition, and Simon votes against me, and the other 3 vote for me. But I was happy. The set was great. It couldn't have gone any better. All the jokes worked. I was thrilled. If that had ended right there, I would have went, great. But then they went, well, we think you're going to come back, but we don't know. 8 weeks go by again. Oh, you're going to come back. You're not going to come back. You're going to go. I swear, for instance, you saw me during then. I must have looked like I was running a marathon, because I was like, oh, this is the roller coaster from hell.
I just remember you not being able to talk about anything because you're sworn to secrecy.
Yeah. And because they won't commit to you. They won't say you're on the show or they won't on the show. You just don't know until like the week before, and then they go, okay, you're on next Tuesday. And
Wait,
then you
but
got to get ready.
I don't understand though, because if you said that 3 of them voted you through, how is there some question as to whether or not you're on the show?
Yeah, good question, Louise. You're doing your see. I had the same question. I go, they voted me through. Well, this season, the judges voted 155 people through, and there were only 36 spots.
What?
Is not good planning.
We need to put that in a pie chart. That is.
So they decided
it's overbooked.
This is the other. What was that?
They've overbooked themselves.
They were behaving as an airline.
Yeah.
Yes. And then they had to reschedule us on other flights. So then they decided, they had voted so many through, they felt bad and they couldn't decide. So they changed the rules midstream and decided they would put 55 people through and do 5 weeks of semifinals instead of quarterfinals and semifinals. But then there would be 11 acts, 5 weeks of 11 acts, but only 2 would go through, which in the end kind of is why I didn't do better, because it's just amazing. There's some amazing. How do I compete against 55 women dancing in unison, making? I mean, I don't even know how I compete against that. It was they're the ones who won the show.
So I have a backstage question about that, which I'm sure all AGT watchers have. So where is everyone and their dancing dogs housed? And does the food get better as the buffet line gets shorter?
We all are in the same room. It is, in fact, very surreal.
Wow.
Because you're in there with jugglers, contortionists, a 14-year-old girl and her dogs. And I'm just looking around the room and I'm going, this is some kind of weird Italian, art film I'm in.
It's Clockwork Orange with
it really is. Yeah. And then they go, okay, now go be funny. And
but are the other acts supportive of you as you're performing? I mean,
yes.
Was there sort of a spirit of camaraderie? There
definitely was. And I think it's because we weren't all comedians or singers, and everybody else can honestly say, what you do is amazing. It's nothing like me. So I can say that to you. So, So they were very, very supportive. Everybody was really cool, actually. The acts were cool. And they all know we're going through this hellish thing. So they're all kind of like, wow, did they do that to you? Oh yeah, they did that to me. Yeah, it's kind of it's a meat grinder. That's what my wife and I called it. It's a meat grinder.
Well, I've learned this from America's Got Talent and American Idol, that you don't have to win to win, and that was you. You were on there a series of weeks, and you became one of the audience favorites because I found this article online, and it was the first reaction I'd heard to your performance, and you were voted like number 1 or number 2 in audience support, even though you didn't win the thing. And I texted it to you and I said, this is fantastic. Of course, it has nothing to do with the outcome of the show, but it does in introducing you and your talent to America. And
it's made It's made an amazing impact. It really has.
I know it has, because I'll tell you what, Levity Live, for those of you who don't know, bought all the improvs. It used to be an improv, is in Oxnard, California. The teeming metropolis of Oxnard, California. And it's a huge venue for Oxnard. It's like 500 seats. You packed the place out. People were there early. I thought, wow, the impact of that show is really amazing. You built an amazing fan base.
Way more than I would have guessed it. I didn't know that many people watched America's Got Talent. I watched it because I had friends on it, and it's interesting, but I didn't. I've been traveling a lot. I've been doing a lot. I've been doing stand-up for 25, 30 years. And I've done some national commercials and some television. Never have I been recognized as much as after America's Got Talent. I walk down Chicago, and now they come up to me and go, "You're that chart guy." I'm the chart guy now. You're that guy with the charts.
Good. That's okay. If they can put a handle on your act, that's fantastic. You also sold out the Irvine Improv, which I think is even bigger than the one in Oxnard. So that's a great sign. I'm so happy. And there's another thing about you, that you are one of those guys who everybody supports. And when you hear that he's having some success, you say, yes, because you're truly one of the nicest people in the business, and you're friends with everyone. So there's sort of universal support for people lift you up and watch you fly. It's really been fun to watch the reaction.
I really think that was the most humbling part of this. When I got on the show and I would let people know to vote and things like that, people just turned up out of the woodwork who I hadn't talked to in years, some corporate people I'd worked with, comics I worked with when I was open mic days, and would send me messages going, yeah, Don. I mean, it just was.
That's really cool.
It was one of those things where you forget how many people you've touched through the years, and it became obvious to me how many people have supported me and I've supported them. And it just was it made me really appreciate all of my years in comedy. And if anybody's listening right now who I've worked, thank you. It was amazing. It was humbling. It was, in fact, that was the best part of it. Really was.
Okay, now that we've schmoozed you up really good, do you have any good anecdotes? Any good? I mean, I know you probably signed a non-disclosure agreement, but is there any interesting little side notes you can talk about in the production of the show?
Let's see. Oh, it's a good question, actually. Boy, I can't. There's nothing like. The only thing I can tell you is that we must have filmed. This is what I read, and by the way, this made me feel better about my comedy. I'm going to preface it by saying that when any comic, if you're thinking of going to the show, or singer, or any kind of act, realize that it's not just about your talent. This is a reality show.
Oh, no, they're building a TV show. That's
and it was so obvious when you're in it. They are building a story around you. We must have filmed 6 hours worth of video, of which they used 1.5 minutes in my prepackaged pit, where they basically make your character, and then they fit it into their show, and it's over. It's actually impressive at the same time as it's kind of scary, because you realize they're in control. But I mean, like the stuff with engineering, and they wanted to work that in there, but they wanted to work my son in there, and the way they did it was really, really interesting. As a nerd, I was like, wow, this process is pretty amazing.
Did they come to your house and shoot in your personal life and stuff?
Oh yeah, they came interviewed my son and my wife, and didn't use any of it, by the way. Not most of it, but they're really making a story. It's as much a scripted show before you perform as it is anything. So
right, because I think they have these formulas that they know work to have you relatable, to have a certain segment of the population say, I know a guy like that, I know that guy, I understand, I can't believe this is happening for him, I'm rooting for him because my nephew's an engineer, and it's just like with the comedians, I think especially, they can kind of build this sort of like a sitcom. They can just build a character that folks would really get because they know that guy.
I'll share this with you. Here's an inside story. I do have one.
Yeah.
And I don't think they'll be upset for me telling this story. But it is the one edit that they made, which I found very interesting. And Fritz, you and I have talked about how, of all people, I don't think I'm a politically incorrect comic at all.
Absolutely
at all.
Not.
But when I do corporate, sometimes they take jokes out. And I'm always interested when they take a joke out, like, how are you, because I didn't mean it that way. How are you seeing it? So they took one joke out of my audition that I still to this day, if you really think about it, they don't need to do it. They're being overly cautious. So I do a joke about the fact that there's 1.4 billion people in China, and there's 7 billion people on Earth. Therefore, statistically, 1 out of every 5 babies born on Earth are in fact Chinese. So you could say, and you would not be lying, if you've got 4 kids, you're expecting a 5th, it will be Chinese. Okay? Now, I don't think that's at all.
No, it's a math joke. It's not
it's a statistics joke that is in fact ridiculous, because that's not how statistics work.
Yes.
But I could see how someone somewhere sitting in a corner would go, "Why, that's anti-Chinese, isn't it?" I go, "I never said it was a problem."
A trigger thing. That's where we are now. That's what I was going to ask you about. I'm glad you brought it up. What about the censors? And I mean, we're in such a culturally sensitive moment now. They're probably being overly cautious.
I think maybe if you had tagged it with, and of course that Chinese kid will be your favorite, but won't be very good at driving, but will get into college. You know, if you had just tagged it, like, to make it, like, you go, okay, let's really make it offensive. Let's just swing for the bleachers.
Don't pitter patter. Go over the line all the way. Come on.
So
another one of my jokes.
Yeah.
In fact, I think, Fritz, did you send this to me? The one that called me a dark comic? Did you send me that one?
No.
Oh, another one of my statistics jokes was 44% of marriages end in divorce, and that sounds so scary, right? 44. Do we have 44%? Think of the other side. If 44% of marriages end in divorce, 56% of marriages end in death. Now, it's just a silly little joke. There's one guy who wrote this huge article about how, Don McMillan goes to the dark side, talking about how marriage is death. I'm like, that's not what I said.
I think that's the funniest part of your act, your headline act, is when you talk about your relationship with your wife, but you boil it down to science and physics, and you've got charts and graphs, and it's hysterical. You're talking about the same thing that everybody feels in their lives. You just make it mathematical, which is just funny.
I try to model it in a way that engineers would, and break it down. Right? If you break it down, you can figure out a solution. And so far, when it comes to relationships, it seems unsolvable to me. Can I just say that right now?
Sometimes there
is no solution.
The graphic will just make you laugh out loud. Like, you know where you're going. Like, I walk into the mall, I buy my cargo shorts, I walk back out. But then as soon as you pop on the screen, the trajectory of your wife, I just laughed out loud because she went into every store, and it's like the scribble of it makes you laugh.
That's how she does it.
And I think that the humor comes from the fact that he sat and thought out this trajectory on his own. Yeah, it's great.
So I have a technology problem that happened to me last night, and I was thinking, because you have, you're college trained. I thought maybe you could help, not me, but like the whole smoke detector industry, maybe come up with some solutions that would save lives, not because I was going to die in a fire, but because I was going to throw myself out a window if the beeping didn't stop. Okay, so
I know this problem.
Yeah. So last night I come home to the ear-piercing tones of a beeping. I changed the batteries in all of my smoke detectors, still with the beeping. I tend to remove the smoke detectors from the walls. The beeping continues. Plaster crashes down on me as I shock myself, desperately cutting wires to fully disconnect the smoke detectors.
Oh.
The beeping taunts me still, emanating, it seems, from inside my walls. It's midnight. I'm frantically calling 24-hour electricians. The incessant beeping has lowered my IQ to around 40, and I'm screaming to try and drown it out, but then the screaming is interrupted by the crying and the sobbing. But there was a moment within the madness that I moved an ottoman to look at the carbon monoxide detector that was plugged into an outlet there. This was the offender. I changed the backup battery and put an end to the horror. The beeping of these devices is so damn loud that you are unable to discern from where the sound is emanating. We're just frantic fools stumbling around with Kleenex stuffed in our ear. Is there not a technologically superior way to alert me that I need to change a battery?
I have 2 things to say about this.
Okay.
One is I have a great story about it. And 2 is I literally just came up with a solution. Literally just now, as you were telling the story, I went, I know how to fix this. I'll tell you how to fix it. I'll tell you how to fix it.
Okay.
Make each detector in your house have a different sound.
Yeah, like a ringtone.
Yes.
The
so
squawking
when
cat
it goes off, you go,
monoxide.
oh, that's that one. Or that's that one. In fact, today, chips are so cheap, you can actually say number one, and you know that's number 1, number 2, number 2. This is an easy fix. I can't believe they haven't fixed this.
Me too. I can't believe. And so the other thing is, like, if you're in the hospital and one of the fluids has dripped itself out, it starts dinging next to your bed. Why is it? I don't know how to change this bag. Why is it not dinging at the nurse's station? So with the smoke detector, I think that when the battery is low, my electrician should receive the alert and then schedule an appointment. This doesn't have to be my business. I don't have to sit through this hell. Why isn't there someone I could hire that would please?
I want to tell you the smoke detector story. I don't know if this is that funny, but it's absolutely true. So my parents lived in New Jersey, and I used to go visit them all the time. And I'd go visit them, and I'm sitting in their kitchen, and I hear this cricket. And I go, well, what's with the cricket? They go, it's somewhere in the living room. It's been there for like 6 months. We don't know where it is. We looked all over for it.
Wow.
I go in, we move all the furniture. All the furniture we move around. We can't find this stupid cricket, which only chirps every couple of minutes. Finally, like the third time I visited them, and this cricket's driving me crazy. I lift up a pile of stuff on their table, and there's a smoke detector in there. And I go, it's not a cricket, it's a smoke detector.
Wow.
And my dad just about destroyed the smoke. He took it, and he was just like holding it and shaking. That's a true story.
They're so enraging. Mm-hmm. They're trying to keep you alive, but they're shaving years off your life.
To wake you up,
with the aggravate. Yeah, and this was at midnight, you guys. I get back to I'm calling 24-hour, electricians. I'm like, I've got my husband on the phone. I'm crying, because it just gets inside your head. It makes you, for me anyway, like that's a trigger that makes me lose my mind. It's so.
That's a good one. I might have to do a smoke detector joke now because I love stuff that we all can relate to like that.
And that is solvable, but they're like, the number of people that this is saved from a fire for overlapping with the number of people that have bashed their head through a wall, to make the sound stop.
I think
now you're thinking like me now. Yeah.
When we worked in Oxnard, you made a really wonderful comment, which I think is the healthiest attitude about your talent. And you said, I don't necessarily want to be a star. I just love to work. Yeah. And I just thought that was so many people would become stars if they would just take that attitude and become a star if it's organic and it naturally happens.
Yeah, so, I don't know how I don't know how people. I think that's why you get so many stars that get messed up when they get fame because they're not doing it because they like it. They're doing it to become famous. Then when you get it, then what do you do? It's just kind of hollow at that point.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, you have to love the craft of it. It's really clear that you love the craft of it because you get to create these cool graphics that everybody's relating to and seeing their own lives in a new, fresh way.
I heard a great interview with Seinfeld once, and I think not that I can comparing myself to Seinfeld, but he was saying that he's hard to be married to because he's just constantly writing jokes, because if you think about the minutia of life, but I kind of am that way. It's just the way my brain works. When I see things, I immediately think there's got to be a better way to do that. Or there's a different way to do that. It's the way my brain works. I just managed to market my brain function. That's all I did.
That's so cool. I love that.
You have to be a disciplined writer too. You're disciplined. Yeah. Seinfeld is the world's most disciplined writer. He writes a couple hours every day. So
and I'm not like him in that respect, but I am constantly writing, and I think corporates keep me sharp because when I do a corporate show, I customize so much. I'm writing jokes for every corporate I do. I've written some great jokes that nobody outside like the power washer industry would ever get. Hey. But that's why I had to share with you that airline joke. It's actually one a lot of people would get.
That's a good joke.
I love that.
Yeah. So I thought I love it when I can. Yeah, when I can bring, you know what it really is, Fritz, and you understand this as a comic, and you too, for that matter, Louise. Mm-hmm. But if you can, we've seen so many comics through the years. Sometimes you can take a premise that they have and apply it in a new area, and I don't think that's not stealing. It's reapplying a thought and then coming up with a new joke. It's not. And I do that all the time. That's kind of what that $40 extra thing, for the fork is. It's not a really unique idea, but it's never been applied there before.
Exactly.
So. Which makes you happier, a small, intimate venue or 10,000 people in a convention center?
You know what? A great little crowd is better than anything, I think. Because
I feel like you're making an emotional connection to them.
Oh, and I like talking to them. I can't talk to 10,000 people. Mm-hmm. I love, you didn't know me in my early days of comedy, Fritz, but before I did PowerPoint, which was a long time, 10, 12 years, I would talk to the crowd a lot, and I wasn't Jimmy Brogan, but I would talk to the crowd a lot, and I love to come up with bits off the fly. I still remember this one bit. There was a guy in Rooster T. Feathers. I asked him what he did for a living, very, very Jimmy Brogan-like, and he said he's a garage door estimator. And I swear I did 10 minutes on that. Wow. I just went, how hard is that? Your car is this wide. The garage door needs to be this wide. And then it just went on and on and on. And it really was my writing process live. And that's the best. It's the best.
It's like hang gliding naked. That's what I heard.
Yeah. And nobody wants to see that.
No. And so you like the smaller venues. Well, that's basically where I've worked with you, clubs and small and medium-sized theaters. And it works out beautifully.
Yeah, and we do a lot. Fritz does so much charity stuff and fundraising stuff, and they're the best crowd. They're just appreciative. They clearly have good hearts. They're there to raise money, and they're smart. Those are the funnest crowds for me. And
how did the PowerPoint presentation arrive? You started as a straight stand-up.
It was a very distinct moment. I remember it very well. It was 1999. It was January of 1999, I was emceeing a 3-day sales conference for Mentor Graphics, which is a software company that the VP of sales was an old sales guy I used to work with when I was an engineer. His name is Don Malsby. And Don brought me in because he knew I was a comic. And I'm just emceeing and I'm doing my regular act. And then there's this guy his first name was Herb. I forget his last name. Did this horribly boring PowerPoint presentation. I mean, terribly boring PowerPoint presentation. And I turned to Malsby and I said, Don, can I have his slides? And he goes, well, what are you going to do? I go, I'm just going to get up there and rip on how bad that was. And he goes, we want you to do that. We hate his PowerPoints. Go do that. So I put it up there and I wrote some jokes to go with all the slides, like different interpretations. And it worked so well. It was like a thing went on in my head. I went, why have I not been doing this all along? And that was the day. I remember it very well.
Do you do all the artwork for your own slides? Because some of them are very complex pieces of artistic endeavor.
I do, and I can only thank Photoshop for that because I have no artistic ability. I got really good at. In fact, somebody from an art studio called me about my PowerPoint once and asked me about how I did some of my slide animations because I really do use PowerPoint outside the norm. And I go, well, you can do this and this, and the little hacks that I've figured out through the years. So
PowerPoint plugins. But usually comedians get joke ideas from their relatives. Do you get pie chart ideas from your relatives?
I do. I get people send me charts all the time. It's actually pretty funny. But I love charts. A chart is worth 1,000,000 words. A picture's worth 1,000. Chart's worth 1,000,000.
Ooh.
So I want to talk to you about, and this is inside baseball, how your bookings changed after America's Got Talent. Because I've just seen it in a couple of club experiences where you've blown up. You're selling lots of tickets. Has it increased all over the United States? Do you find yourself getting...
Well, in the two markets I care most about, the corporate market is insane right now. I think I have 20 corporates in December between Christmas parties and other stuff. It's just insane. And I definitely tapped a nerve. The corporate people, they must have family that watches America's Got Talent because industries I'd never heard of. Like I'd always been pretty big in the tech industry. Dell's, the Apples, they have all hired me many times through the years. But now I'm doing all kinds of industries. I'm doing a trucking company. I'm doing a boat. It's just every industry could imagine because they need clean comedy. So that's gone through the roof. Mm-hmm. And then comedy clubs, I've been doing a lot of shows around the country, and I have an agent. One of the things I got through this was an agent because I needed help booking all this stuff. And he has worked with other comics similar to me. And what they found is that rather than go in and do a weekend, we come in and do an off night and just do one night. And then I can sell out the place and I can really see the draw that America's Got Talent is bringing because it's just one night and just me. Mm-hmm. And we've been close to selling out almost everywhere I've gone to. I go to Raleigh this weekend and I think we're close to sold out there. I'm there on Sunday, and that's like the Research Triangle. So I figured I'd do well there, but it was way better than I thought. I mean, it's just the reach has been amazing, way more than I thought it would be.
Well, I think your presentation lends itself so perfectly to corporate, and you can tailor your act, and then everyone's relating to what they usually are doing when they're together, which is looking at something on a screen and listening to someone talk, but you're mocking it, so the laughter can be explosive because it's so close to home, but they're sharing it with one another. They've shared, they're looking at each other like, just like that last meeting we were at, like they've shared these work experiences and now they're sharing you. And it's so relatable.
And PowerPoint has set the bar really low in terms of not being funny. So the fact that I'm funny at all is good.
Yeah, that is.
It's been great.
Have you offended anybody important at any of these events that's come up to you afterwards and not been pleased?
Offended? Oh, I have to think about this for a second.
Tell the story that you told me.
I'll tell you this. Okay, I'll tell you this story. This is my favorite story about political correctness because this is so IBM. I'm not even going to tell you what it is. It's IBM because this is so IBM. I did this thing called Golden Circle. It's the top performers for IBM salespeople, and it's in Hawaii. They take them there for Hawaii for 5 days, and it's a huge event, very important. But IBM, I happen to know because I worked for them for many years, is very controlling. So I had to go through my whole act. I had to script it out. So they approved it all. I'm going through the rehearsal because we got to rehearse it, right? Before we present it to the people. I tell a joke. Now I'm in Hawaii and I tell this joke and I go, and I'm just talking about all the activities they're going to do. I wrote jokes about their activities and I go, and you go to luau, just be careful about the poi. There's a reason why they call it poi, because when you eat it, you'll go, poi, poi, poi. I mean, stupid little joke, okay? The minute I tell this joke, I see 8 heads gather in like a huddle and they go, hold on. I see a hand go up and go, hold on. And there's this talk for like 2 minutes. And finally they break. And the one guy, the head person, comes up and he goes, we don't want you to do the poi joke. And I went, okay, I'm just curious, why not? They go, well, it's a sacred root here in Hawaii. We don't want to insult the native Hawaiians. So drop the poi joke. So
wow,
that's the kind of thing that happens.
You told me another circumstance kind of like that where this woman, you had to run everything by her in human resources, and there was a whole series of jokes. That you tell. Do you remember that specific one where?
This just happened like 4 or 5 months ago. Yeah, in fact, I want to do a bit about it on stage, just to see if people can guess what the problem is. It's so interesting when somebody calls you out on political correctness, and then you see where they're coming from. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like you can see their issues. So I have a bunch of jokes. I'll give you the best example that I can. And I had a great argument that I didn't share with her, but I'll share it with you guys. So I do a thing where I take the terminology in any industry and I write jokes like voice recognition. That's what you rely on after you called somebody and forgot who you were calling. That's what you're like, hello, could you talk some more? That's the stupid jokes like that. And then my idea is once I attach jokes to your terminology, next time you hear that term, you'll be talking to a colleague and you'll think of my joke and go, and you'll laugh next week or whatever. Mm-hmm. So one of the jokes I do is pop 3, which is an email setting, right? Pop 3. And the joke is, that's your mom's third husband. Pop 3, your mom's third. Stupid little joke, right? I would have got rid of it in a second, actually. But I said, why do you want me to get rid of that joke? She goes, well, it implies divorce, and we don't want to talk about divorce.
Wow.
And
I thought, yeah, exactly. Wow, thank you.
I hope the check was big enough to stay there and take.
I think it struck a nerve with one individual person.
Well, yeah, I know exactly. Whoever that person was had an issue with divorce, and thought that it might offend some. I'm not even sure why, but the fact that we all. I don't know anybody who doesn't have divorce in their family or their friends or that. What? We can't talk about divorce anyway.
Or my point
a widow should have been to her was, what makes you? I think this really tells you a lot. I said, what makes you think that's a divorce joke? Maybe the first 2 husbands died.
Maybe she killed them.
There's nothing that says divorce in that joke.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Isn't that interesting? When I thought of that, I went, you're listening with your subjectivity.
Right.
You're not hearing what I'm saying. You're hearing what you want to hear. And that was the best example of that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think we all do that. We all listen with our own experiential information. But a lot of people try to then, so you'll have your immediate reaction, but then you'll try to broaden it and imagine how other people are hearing the same thing. Some people aren't able to do that. They just stay here. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I do an Alzheimer's joke. And I had my mother-in-law, I watched her 8 years go down the Alzheimer's path. It's just horrible experience.
Breaking, yeah.
But when I hear somebody tell an Alzheimer's joke, I don't think they shouldn't be telling that joke. What I think is, well, that's actually kind of funny, actually, because if you have anybody with Alzheimer's, if you don't laugh through some of it, you're just going to cry constantly. So you need to be able to laugh in times of despair. So that's one thing. Second thing is, just because it's upsetting to me doesn't mean it's upsetting to somebody else. I'm not going to impose my issues on somebody else, but people do it all the time. It's just amazing. It's just,
like I did a joke once. I don't think it stayed in my act, but I did a joke about my grandmother, like finding out later that the reason my grandmother had such a flat personality was that she had received electroshock or
oh wow,
during the 40s when they thought that would be a better idea than depression. And I don't know what the joke was, but like someone came up to me and said, I don't think that's funny. My so-and-so had electroshock, and I'm thinking, I just told you about my grandmother having it, and I was okay enough with it to turn it into a joke. So like, well, how is it so offensive to you? When like no one's saying that, we shouldn't have compassion for those who are struggling. But sometimes if something does hit home for someone, they feel like they have the ownership to walk up to you and tell you.
I know.
It's also the time we're in. Everybody, that's part of the divide, is everybody wants to legislate everybody else's morality. That's exactly where we are, politically and spiritually and everything.
Well, we had Kathy Ladman was on, and she said that on a cruise ship very recently, one person complained about one joke, and they told her for the rest of the cruise not to do her act again, even though it was scheduled. And I said, well, what gives one person on a cruise ship veto power over your act? And it was, I've heard that from other people, too. If they get one complaint about you, it's over, which is ridiculous. Comedy's very subjective anyway, and why'd you hire me, Right.
Yeah,
so
it's silly. I think it's based in the litigious nature of our society. They're afraid somebody's going to sue or something, and they don't want that, so they'd rather shut it down. It's stupid.
You know what I think it is more than that, even, Don? Yelp.
What?
It's Yelp. Because everyone has a voice on the internet, and one bad Yelp review brings down your rating. So they're really afraid of like Twitter and what you're going to say online. I think that's more frightening than a lawsuit.
Did you start comedy in the Bay Area?
I did, yeah. I was working in San Jose at a startup company, and I started open mics around San Jose, and then went up to San Francisco. I did the Other Cafe I remember one night, I think it was my third or fourth night on stage. They bumped me because Paula Poundstone came in and did 30 minutes in front of me, and I went up and proceeded to eat it for 5 minutes.
That's happened before.
Yeah, boy, but when you're an open micer and that happens, you're like,
oh, yeah.
It kills you the whole
oh
night.
my God. Yeah. It was horrible. I was like, maybe I should give this up. Like, that's Paula Poundstone.
No,
Come on.
I know. I'm here to provide a contrast to the talented person that just. That's happened to me. The notorious time hog was Byron Allen, who would come into the Laugh Factory and want to do a guest set and go on for 45 minutes and just screw the rest of the lineup completely.
No, they would call it. They would like proudly, like Damon Wayans is a champion at this too. They call it walking the room. They do it on purpose. They just want to be up there messing around. Maybe they'll come up with a joke while everyone's kind of like entranced that they're looking at Damon Wayans until they're yawning, and then they walk. But like if your name is on the lineup after one of these guys walk in, and I've actually heard them telling young comics, oh yeah, one day you're going to be able to walk the room, and like people going, why would I, my act is supposed to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. I'm supposed to end on my best joke. Like, why would I want to do it? It's like a power trip. It felt like a power trip to me.
Yeah, no, I think it is.
Yeah. So what are you working on now? You're just kind of like, when you go places, are people unmasked? Are people like happy to be back together? Do people think that the pandemic is over? How are people out there sort of like enjoying comedy right now?
I'll tell you, just in the last 2 months, I don't even know there is a pandemic. It's just, I don't see anybody wearing masks. I was in Nashville, Huntsville, Tacoma, nobody's wearing masks. The clubs I'm getting full crowds. It doesn't seem like anything's different. Even airports are pretty crazy right now.
During the pandemic, were you doing Zoom shows?
Oh, I did so many Zoom shows. My setup. That's why I set up the periodic chart in that thing over there is a TARDIS if you're a Doctor Who fan.
Oh, okay.
which stands for time and relative dimensions in space. It's a time machine, and it doesn't really work because I wouldn't be here if it would. I'd be somewhere in like 1989.
I did a couple, and to me, it was the most gut-wrenching experience you can experience.
Well,
You got to unmute the crowd. You got to unmute the crowd.
and do screen share like I'm sure Don does to show his PowerPoints, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's what I do. I can split my screen, and I basically do a 2-man show with my face and my PowerPoints. That helps a lot for me.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, no. In fact, I could probably show you. Well, no, we can't see it. We're on the podcast. But it's pretty cool little software package. I'm glad I invested in because my act, better than most comics, works on Zoom. In fact, I'm doing 2 Zoom shows the first week of December. This is really interesting too. I am doing shows around the world now thanks to Zoom. I'm doing one for India on December 5th. I got to do it at 3 a.m. because it's at noon Indian Standard Time. Oh no, it's 12:30. They're a half an hour off.
That's odd.
In Mumbai. I have no idea how they got a half an hour off, but
It has to do with the rotation. There's probably a chart that explains this.
I got to work on that. I'm going to explain it at that show.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I think that would be huge. So you seem
I did a
like...
show for South Africa. I mean, there's nerds everywhere, and
yeah,
I've reached a whole new audience thanks to COVID. So
that's I call those COVID blessings or pandemic blessings. Or you?
Well, my wife actually will tell you. She goes, and she tells my family. I hear her on the phone going, "Don McMillan is the only one who thrived during COVID." He was already used to social distancing because he was an engineer. It was very comfortable.
It was you and the ring light people. They've done huge.
I did more Zoom shows. I was busy. I wouldn't say I made a lot of money, but I was busy. I stayed busy.
But you seem like the guy that they would create a sitcom around because you have such a distinct or specific character.
Yeah, where were you 30 years ago when I moved to LA? I got lucky enough to pitch to CBS and NBC and those guys when I first came, but I didn't have the PowerPoint then. I didn't have as defined a character then. So I think that's really what it just took me a little while to figure it out. And once I figured it out, I think if I were 30 right now, I could probably sell a show. But since I'm 60,
you would have been a great physics teacher on the Big Bang Theory or something.
And Bill Prady, one of the executive producers, and I pitched a show the year before he sold Big Bang. That was basically about, I called it Think Tank. It was about a bunch of engineers who sat around at work trying to solve relationship problems using their think tank theories.
Oh, that's so cool.
Chuck Lorre came in the next year and worked with Bill and said, no, you got to make it younger and put more sex in there. And it sold, and it became the Big Bang Theory. But I always thought maybe Bill would call me and make me like maybe Sheldon's physics teacher and mentor or something. Never happened.
Absolutely.
Never happened.
All right. So where can people find you, and how do people catch?
I'm right here.
Please check out his YouTube videos. They are very, very entertaining.
Yeah.
America's #1 nerdy comedian.
Technically funny, and that's your website, and there's lots to find on there. Plus, you've got a really cool YouTube channel.
Yep, I've got a lot of subscribers on my YouTube, and my Instagram has taken off since America's Got Talent. America's Got Talent is really into Instagram, and I've got like 20, 30 million views on some of my Instagram stuff.
Yeah, so we'll find you there, and we'll add all these links on our show notes. And we just want to thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to now read our closing credits.
I'm so glad. I'm enjoying watching you surf this wave, my friend. Congratulations.
Oh, well, thank you. It's I always love working with you, Fritz. So
I appreciate it. Well, we'll do it again.
All right,
invite me to open for you for $13 at the Oxnard Levity Live.
Thank you so much for joining us. We would love to continue this conversation with you on Instagram and Twitter, where we are at MediaPathPod, and on Facebook, where our show page is MediaPath Podcast, and our Facebook group is MediaPath with Fritz and Wheezy Podcast Community. You can find full video podcast episodes loaded with bonus visual content on our YouTube channel, MediaPath Podcast. You can write to us at MediaPathPodcast@gmail.com. If you enjoy the show, please give us a nice rating on Apple Podcasts and talk about us nicely on social media. You can sign up for our fun and dishy newsletter at MediaPathPodcast.com. And we want to thank our wonderful guest, Don McMillan. Our team includes Dina Friedman, John Maddox, Sharon Bellio, Bill Filipiak, Thomas Hubble, Mason Brown, Gary Arch, and you. Our theme music is by me and John Maddox. I am Louise Palanker, here with Fritz Coleman. Be well and be wise, and we will see you along the media path.
That was awesome. awesome, Don. Just awesome.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh, we got applause. Listen to that applause. See that? Oh my God, the house is, that's 2,500 people right there. So stay right there. We're going to take a picture of ourselves in front of